getting nice to play strong down the stretch. Bad start last week. Best thing about the Thursday night game and talking with Rick when we scheduled it was to help the crowd. Thought we had a really good crowd last week for the opener, and it gives you a little bit more time for preparation for this game. So we're able to have a little bit of work on Friday. Gave the guys Saturday off, a little bit of work on Sunday, a little bit of work yesterday. We'll have another off day this week, but we're off to some early preparation. Playing a great team, got a great challenge. Need to make a lot of improvement as a program, as a team, and of course we'll have a tremendous challenge playing a really good team this week.
Questions?
How pleased were you with the poise of your team after the start the other night?
Well, we talk each week about what we think are the keys to winning and a plan to win, and turnovers for sure is always in that, to minimize those and maximize getting them. And of course, we started with 3 out the gate. One, I think, early put Braxton Braylon in a bad situation on a naked pass and didn't run a route cleanly. And then we unfortunately had a kicking turnover you can't have. And then the last turnover, I think, was actually after he'd hurt his ankle and he was still playing and couldn't push off a little late on a throw. But to have the 3 turnovers, I was really proud of the defense to weather and to stay in there and only give up 7 points. And the 7 they gave up, they started, I think, at or inside our 10-yard line. So we basically gave them a gift on the first drive. So to stay calm to weather, we did talk about we wanted to play well, but it's not going to go well. And just to play the next play. And it was nice. Unfortunately, you don't want to be in that situation. It was good to be in that situation and then be against a team, and no disrespect to our opponent, where we did match up well if we didn't get overwhelmed. If we do those things this week and the weeks to come with our conference, we'll have a very hard time being on the right side of the ledger. So it was nice to experience some adversity and stay with it and play the next play. At the same time, too, when you have a lot of young first-time program, first-time playing together, so even though the old players, it's kind of first time, sometimes how do you even handle success? So when you play well, and you had a pretty good second quarter, but we started the third quarter floundering around a little bit. So it's always about what's next, the next game, the next, you're where your feet are, and when you're playing football, the most important play is the next play. So it was nice to be put in that situation. Don't want to be put in that situation a lot, but we are. And it was proud of those guys to really proud of the defense, the way they stood in there and handled it and fought for us. It was a good deal. Offense settled down. We played pretty good down the stretch.
You got an update on Braxton?
Yeah, he's out doing some stuff. It's not, he's got an ankle injury. It doesn't appear to be major. I don't think we need to, put him in harm's way. We'll just see how we go through the week and weeks, and I don't think it's going to be a long deal. But to say he's out, to say he's in, he did some stuff last night, but we just got to be very smart. It'll be this week. We're playing a team that has a very athletic front, a lot of pressure on the quarterback, great defensive ends. They'll bring some pressure. So at the end of the week, can he really move and be functional? He's still our starter, although Cardell came in and played well. Braylon will still be the starter, and I expect Cardell to play. I expected to play Cardell in that game early. Didn't expect it to be with injury. We've even toyed around with those guys both on the field at the same time and some of our practice work. So proud of Cardell, the way he played. Expect Braylon to, and like when I saw him last night, I said, again, your deal is to get better. And I didn't say get healthy. You're a young player, keep getting better. He's still, I think that was his, 4th or 5th career start. So he's a young player. Cardell's a young player. They're both talented, and we got to keep them coming. Really good to get Roman in and get a few clips at the end, a few plays. It was nice. And Kirk Francis and Stephen Kittleman are doing well. So we got some depth there, and we'll just see how Braylon progresses. I don't think it's going to be a major deal, but this week we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe touch on Washington, you being an offensive guy, just kind of what makes them tick offensively.
Well, again, got a little background just following Coach DeBoer from his time. He was at Indiana. And when we were, when you're in a conference, when you play the other team and you watch their defense, you watch other teams' offenses, and his offenses were always very on point. I know Coach Dater out the gate said, that this guy does a great job in just attacking defenses. I know he's got an offensive coordinator that they've been together from South Dakota years past when I think he was at Sioux Falls and was with him at Fresno. So very good attack, very aggressive attack. We'll take the ball downfield, take a lot of shots, a lot of speed, outstanding receivers, 3-4 of them that will be advertised very highly and maybe are better than advertised. Offensive line does a great job of pass protection. The quarterback, Michael Penix, a 6-year kid. I've seen him in person from his time at Indiana, one of the premier top 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks in the nation, great player. Defensively, athletic crowd. Their D coordinator used to work with me. One of their co-D coordinators worked with me at Indiana. They're very talented. They're a top 10 team. They're one of the top 2, 3 teams in the Pac-12 with a great chance to win the conference this year. So very, very talented team, very well coached, very, very gifted, play with a lot of confidence. Caleb he has a phenomenal record as a head coach. He does a great job.
What do you tell you guys about the challenge of going on the road to a top 10 team in a place like Washington and playing them?
Last night, in our practice yesterday, we went in the evening last night since it was the no school day and to try to get out of the heat a little bit. And, did a lot of work last night with crowd noise, and it'll be their crowd. They have a great stadium and a beautiful setup. Their fans are maybe not quite right on top of you like at Stillwater where they're right there, and at OU where they're right there on you, but there's a little space, so you don't maybe personally make as much eye contact with fans, but they'll be loud. The stadium's got a little roofing, so it echoes, and it's a loud place. So communication will be key. The key when you're playing a good team, though, is that you need to be as fast and as physical as you can be. So as you go through your plan, you try to keep it as simple or as sound on both sides of the ball. If you try to get too smart, you've got a lot of second guessing, and you got to make adjustments. But if you're making too many, can your kids play fast? Can they play physical? Can they play aggressive? So you got to match them the best you can with aggressiveness and physicalness and speed. That's how they play. We're going to have to go on the road. It'll be tough. Some things are maybe dealt against you, but you'll practice and plan this week to put your kids in the best position you can to play as fast, as hard, and as physical as you can play. When I say fast, I'm not talking tempo fast, but play the game, coming off the ball on both sides, play the game in the perimeter as fast as you can play.
And you mentioned Penix. How tough is a guy like that to prepare for?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. With this, I think his accuracy has gotten tremendously great over the years, but his arm length, they talk about the kid at Tennessee and how far he can throw the ball, but it's like a receiver's never out of range. That ball can travel 50, 55, 60, 65 yards in the air, and he's very talented on the deep ball. So looking at the game last week, Boise played very, very well. It's kind of nip and tuck. All of a sudden, a couple plays they don't convert or turnover, a couple big plays, and it's 28, 35 point spread. And so they just keep coming at you, keep attacking you. Just really, really good, really great player.
Ben and Ostrowski had really solid games for you guys up front this past week. How important is it to have that travel and be able to get a little bit of pass rush this weekend?
Oh, you're going to have to. At the same time, I think last year Michael got hit, 16 times. So that goes back to Coach DeBoer, their scheme, the ball out of the hand, the protection. Their offensive line is very big and athletic and do a great job in protection. Their schemes are sound, and their ability to pick up protection and adjust protections and make the adjustments with routes if they need to have any side adjustments or all that. So it's a good package. So they do a great job. You can only, I think one of the beauties of their offense that I think Coach DeBoer and his staff has always done, you can only do what the quarterback can handle and you can block. And they understand how to block and not put that quarterback in situations where he gets hit a lot. And so you'd like to get some pressure on them, but they make it awfully hard to get there and to do. They do a great job.
If you could talk about your offense, if you could compare it to schematically to what the Elder Spurrier was running, years ago, some similarities and differences.
You're talking about Coach Spurrier?
Yeah, Coach Spurrier, his dad, the offense's dad.
Yeah, there's some things like I'll say something like we actually were running a route that says, this is like your dad's old so-and-so, route back in the day, and here's exactly how I did. We're all still running plays that Sid Gilman and those guys did back in the 40s and 50s. A curl's a curl and a flat's a flat and a corner's a corner, and it just got window dressed with spread offenses and tempo. But the run game is everybody runs some version of a zone or a combination play, inside or outside. Everybody runs a version of a counter or a power play, and whether you're an I formation team or a spread team. I never. Some of our stuff is based on some of Coach Leach's stuff from Oklahoma, but again, we changed some of it due to protection because I do think you got to take care of your quarterback the best you can. So it's not as pure air raid as Coach Spurrier Jr. is used to doing, and Coach Leach and the air raid guys that did. But there's some traditional just Yeah, to me, it's a college run game with some quarterback action. It's got a little bit more of a pro style passing attack with pass protection is what it is.
You talked about practicing and preparing for crowd noise. What other things do you have to do to prepare a team for going on the road first time? Maybe it's logistically as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we had the chance over the preseason that we did a trip locally to our local team hotel, so we've done it twice. And the only thing that really changes is the travel time. And of course, this is a decent travel time. It's a 3.5, 4 hour flight. It's a normal week. It's a little bit longer week, which is kind of good. We'll come in Friday morning, do our work. I like to do most of the work here. I'm not big on late night Friday night meetings and cram sessions. I always thought the guys cramming for final exams didn't do as well as the guys that had prepared Tuesday and Wednesday. So, we'll like I say, I get more stressed out about today and tomorrow than I do on the game day. It's kind of cool. Coach Stanchik said, Coach Wilson said he's pretty calm on game day. He actually was. Yeah, I'm not that way on Tuesday and Wednesday sometimes when I want them to practice hard and have a good practice setup. Make sure that our coaches, we have a good practice plan. We're practicing the plays we're going to do against the looks we're going to do. But, I mean, other than the travel, sometimes, and this will be a phenomenal challenge because they're really good stadium, great team. It's going to be a hard test. We're going to have to play our very, very best. And we're going to have to try our best to play 4 quarters as hard as we can, as long as we can. But other than the travel, sometimes the best teams actually are good on the road because you actually have less distraction on the road. The families come, but there's not as many, and you can kind of circle the wagons, and it's kind of us against the world, and you get a little camaraderie and a little esprit de corps going there. So look forward to seeing it. I don't think it's going to be, with the 2 trips we've taken, even though it's been short bus rides, we'll have a longer plane trip. I don't think it's going to be much different than what we had last week, except we're playing a great team.
You think the guys put more stock and value in a game like this against a top 10 program? Do you see them putting more effort's the wrong word. I said value. Do they?
Well, they need to. I mean, I made a comment like, a lot of you guys want the opportunity to play in the NFL. Few NFL scouts will watch that game last week, but if they think you're a player, they'll watch every play of this game to see how you match up against one of the best teams in the country. And so, to me, as a competitor, you like playing against the best. You should. As a coach, you like coaching against the best. And when you have this opportunity, it is an opportunity. It's a challenge, but it's a great opportunity, and you want to embrace that. And everyone talks about wanting to play at the highest level and be at the highest level. Here you are, at a Division I level, and you're playing a top 10 team, and you want to aspire to be that kind of team. So just go see where you match up. And the way you do it, you don't go play the game. You just go play one play, and you play one play the best you can. And you lay it down, you do it again, you play the next play. You don't get mesmerized with the scope of the game. It's the preparation of the week and going out and playing one play and stack some plays up, and at the end see where that matches up.
You said the key word communication, which everybody talks about nowadays. It's not just players, it's coaches too. New staff, new team. How did you think communication went in game 1?
It's pretty hard, man. That sideline's tight. There's 19 million people down there. I mean, it was a zoo on the sideline. We got to figure out how to, it was very claustrophobic, and so just working through some of the kinks of that. I thought our coaches did a decent job, but I mean, you want to reward guys and dress as many players as you can, and it's kind of cool for them and their families. But also, you need to work. I mean, this week you have a lot less people, you have a lot more room because their sidelines are a lot bigger, and hopefully it can be clean as we go. But for the first one, it was good. We had only practiced because we didn't have access to the stadium. But one time we'd only really practiced about half of one practice as a game setting. That was really the first time we'd been everyone in that environment. And we got some cleanup to do as we go through that and make it a little bit more functional as we move through the year.
We haven't gotten a chance to talk with you about it since then, but SMU was announced to go to the ACC. Just your thoughts on more conference realignment and them leaving the conference?
Yeah, I mean, every school is, each conference is doing. It's a little bit the dynamics. I don't think you make. In my world, I'm more worried about the team. Our AD, Rick Dixon, will share some things when it's appropriate that he thinks that maybe I or the other coaches, Eric Conkle, or the other coaches may need to know, but. And you're in a little bit of a change time, And I think, the school presidents, I think the conference commissioners, the ADs need to be calculated and smart enough to do what you think is best for your institution and the group of people you're with. And I think everyone's just trying to increase their position the best they can. And you don't want to minimize your position. It's a time of change. Bottom line, it's all generated by revenue and TV. So what's your marketability? What TV value do you bring to a conference? And I think every school needs to be aware and be smart enough to do what's best for them. And I think some schools and some conferences appear to be calculating, looks like, for the good of them. You can see some other places, maybe not. I think our conference, I've been impressed with our conference, been impressed with our commissioner, been impressed here with our AD and our president, what we're trying to do. So it'll be interesting as our league moves forward. Where do we fit? What teams fit as we move forward? I think we position ourselves with some good teams we've added this year. Do we add any more? I'm not really a part of those conversations. And not upset if someone has a better opportunity for them in their school. I think that's just a little bit of the time right now, these next 2, 3, 4 years, as we're jockeying between what divisions, the halves, and how much they have and all that, financial deals. That's just a part of college ball right now. You got that, you got NIL, you got transfer portal. It's just a little bit of the game right now.
You've played Washington twice with OU and once with Ohio in 2019. What are you kind of bringing from those experiences as you go in for the first time with TU?
Well, a long time ago we played out there. The stadium's a little bit different, and they're a much, much better team. So we had a home and home. That's 16, 18 years ago with Washington. Historically, it's always about, remember, Coach James's programs competing for national titles in Pac-12. We had a chance to play against Coach Peterson's squad. It was a great squad out in the Rose Bowl, and it was a good, tough, hard-fought win. Just on the West Coast, Washington's always had a niche. Coach Neuheisel's time, Coach James's time, what Coach Peterson's done, it's always had a niche of being able to recruit very, very well and get very, very gifted athletes. So they've been able to go down to California, Northern California, Southern California, between Southern Cal, UCLA, Oregon, and then themselves. Those have been the 4 main players for recruits on the West Coast. They've always had a fair amount of quality Samoan players that have been tremendous athletes for them. They're one of the top, historically, 15, 20, 25 programs in the country. And right now they're a top 10 team, and they're very deserving of that as they start. So don't know if I'd take anything other than just a lot of respect for their school, their program. It's beautiful out there, and it's a beautiful setting for a college game. Their stadium's an awesome place. We did talk to our guys. We're not taking cell phones out to be tourists this week. We're going out to play a game, so we're not going out to take pictures of their stadium.
John?
Coach, if it's close, especially second half, new clock rules, does that impact play calling at all when you have the ball?
I don't know. I mean, everybody talks about, I saw, I think Coach Kelly made a comment about, I think a part of if you got to execute on offense to keep the ball, and your defense has to get stops to get the ball back for you. So if you're not getting a lot of possessions, I think you need to look at yourself, because that means you're either going 3 and out or not keeping the ball or converting, or your defense is not getting it for you. I think after the first 2 weeks here, week 0 and 1, I saw a stat that there's 4 less plays per game than there was. So I didn't feel it was different the other night, but our defense was getting some stops. We were getting it back. We only had 2, 3 and outs. And so, I felt we were getting some at-bats. And, I didn't think it would be that big of a rule change. But I guess going forward, we'll see. Again, in the games where I think some teams that play ball control, but that's always been the case. When you play an option team like Navy or Air Force or Army, it's like, hey, guys, you're getting 4 possessions a half. So you better do something with those possessions, because they're going to run the ball, they're going to go for it on 4th and 1, and the clock's never going to stop. So there's just certain styles of team that's a part of it. Some teams milk the clock and snap it with 2 and 3 and 4 seconds. If you want to snap it fast, you can. We didn't go super fast tonight. We tried to do some things to have a little bit of tempo, but it's really about play execution. And like I say, you go the 3 turnovers we do, and I think we didn't win the time possession tonight because of some turnovers early. And so if that's the case, you're going to not have a lot of plays, and you complain about possessions.
So, Coach, do you think it's too early for you to decide whether you like it or not?
On
that rule?
I don't know. I don't make them, so it is what it is. So you just got to follow it. So, It says 75. It says 75 on the turnpike speed limit. So, what does that mean?
Well, I go 85.
That means we all go 82, right? 7 miles over, right? So, everything else.
Coach, obviously early in the season, we saw it last night with Clemson, turnovers. That happens a little bit early in the season. I would suspect, obviously, you go out west in a game like this, ball security becomes even more important, doesn't it?
It's to me, in our thoughts of keys to winning a game, that is one of the, if not this, we talk about playing good defense, and then we talk about ball security. Because, again, ball security is part of playing good defense. If you have long fields, we talk about kicking the ball and having good special teams. We had 4 penalties the other night on the kicking teams. So that puts the offense or defense in bad situations. So if you can minimize your penalties in the kicking game, minimize turnovers, you have a chance to have good field position, and you got to do that when you're playing a team like this. So, that's a part of, quote unquote, our plan to win. And again, we were very, very fortunate the other night. We had worked on ball security. We do ball security drills every day since the first day we've been here. And I don't know if we had 3 turnovers in the last 3 weeks, but we did in the first 5-6 minutes of the night, so it's unacceptable. We address it. The first thing we address, if you fumble, you're out of the game. And, we'll do some penances for it, but we've got to take care of the ball. I think the 2 picks, I think the 1 pick is on me for a bad play call early. I think the other pick was our quarterback was injured a little bit late with the throw and kind of got us there. But you cannot turn the ball over and win, especially when you're playing a great football team, which we are this week.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, Coach. Okay, Larry.
Talk about your receivers, specifically Devin Williams. Obviously, Shoulders had a great game, but those 2. It seems like Devin Williams has kind of emerged. He was kind of an under-the-radar guy from a little while ago. Talk a little bit about your receivers.
Yeah, we've been inconsistent with some of our receivers. We got a couple older guys, a couple younger guys. Malachi's had an ankle injury a little bit that cost him a little bit of practice time, and Cam Benjamin's been pretty solid. Braylon Presley's been pretty solid. And that Marquise and Devin have been our best practice players, so they got the bulk of the work. We're going to need about 9 receivers to play, so we need some of these other guys. We need Carl Chester and Nick Rimpert to come up. We got some other guys behind those guys, whether it be some of our freshmen need to play well. But it was good in game 1 for Devin and for me, Marquise, to have some success, and hopefully they can build on that and get much. This game, the team we're playing this week will challenge every throw. A lot of press, whether it be their quarters or their man coverage. So these guys are going to get challenged by much better athletes, be much more competitive, and they'll have their hands full this week. But it was nice to see those guys step up. But we need more depth at receiver. Nice to have the tight ends complement them, and we'll try to get the running backs a few touches as well.
Yep.
That's good. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Coach.